Did Bitcoin just become safer? Welcome into the Money Vehicle Movement podcast, where we are making it cool to speak the language of money. This week saw the stock market rise on the anticipation. The anticipation, meaning it has not happened yet, but people are expecting. The expectation is that the Fed will lower interest rates as inflation has cooled in the United States. China, on the other hand, is currently experiencing deflation, where sure, prices fall in the short term, but this idea of deflation is not a good sign for the economy over a long-term time horizon and projection. But here in the United States, in America, the excitement that inflation seems to have peaked for the moment, and money will begin to be quote unquote cheaper by the Fed, charging less to borrow. Now, this is a good sign that people expect a boom for companies to grow in 2024, because as we learn in Chapter 2, when the Federal Reserve makes money less expensive to borrow, it should lead to more profits and more gains within the market and within their respective industries. So looking at 2024, we should shift to today what we will discuss how the Biden administration is taking on big banks to change rule number 1 of your checking account. Story number 2 is going to be, did NBC provide you a subscription trick or a subscription treat? Say that 5 times fast. And we're going to answer that question. Did Bitcoin become safer to invest in? Our core curriculum focus this week is going to be on income part 4, earning versus creating an income source. So let's dive into the current event of the week. Story number 1 is going to be that the Biden administration is addressing one of the most damaging mistakes people make with their money: overdraft fees. Now let's go back in time. The original thought around overdrafting was actually a service for customers. Back when everyone was mailing around paper checks. Okay, so many of you don't remember that, but people used to get paid in through the mail. They used to pay their bills. Everything was done by mail, snail mail, and actual paper checks. So back when people were mailing around paper checks, it was inevitable that a check didn't get deposited in time. As we know, when you deposit a check, it usually takes a day, 2, 3 days to actually go through. When you write a check, the money starts leaving immediately. There was a lot of complications. So to provide a service, the banks began offering overdrafting and providing the funds immediately for a fee. Well, it was a much smaller fee then than it is today. Today, with the use of debit cards passing money electronically in seconds, the extraordinary fee does not reflect the penalty that it is inferring. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, has estimated that over $280 billion have been collected in overdraft fees over the past 2 decades. $280 billion have been collected in overdraft fees over the last 2 decades. According to the Washington Post, these fees have become so popular that one bank CEO named his boat the overdraft. That in and of itself is something we cannot dispute, discredit. The banks see the profit and the value of these overdraft fees. The impact of these fees reflects why Money Vehicle calls out the number 1 rule of our checking account in Chapter 4 as never going below 0. A simple mistake costing you $30, $35 a day is never going to be worthwhile. Understanding that there are many cases where a person must overdraft simply to get by, and in these, we hope financial education can prevent this. While we understand it does not solve this problem. Yes, there are situations where people truly do not have enough to make ends meet, and for that, this is not a solution. But there are also many who simply do not understand the operation or penalty of what is happening within their accounts. I admit, first, at a time in college where I simply was unaware of my balance and was charged this fee twice. Overdrafting on a Tuesday, letting it go through Wednesday, waking up Thursday and seeing two different fees for letting the balance pour over an extra day and seeing that fee charged and taken from my account. Money Vehicle believes many would avoid this fee altogether if they were empowered with a financial plan. Having the knowledge around one's own foundational accounts and setting up a Corona cushion, formerly known as an emergency fund, would eliminate a lot of these fees. The American Bankers Association, the ABA, is fighting back on this Biden proposal in the name of capitalism, stating that this is nothing more than a move to score political points during a year of the election, and that these changes would make it hard for the bank to offer this overdraft service. Apparently, that CEO did not get a ride out to the ocean on overdraft the boat. The truth is, there's been a large shift within banks to offer accounts without an overdraft penalty or to intentionally lower their fees prior to this proposal. The new Biden administration proposal would change this fee from upwards of $35 an instance all the way down to a capped $3, $5, or $7 fee. As you look at this, let's introduce some questions for your classroom. Why do you think so many people fall victim to needing this overdraft service and being charged the overdraft penalty? How would you advise a fellow student today to avoid this fee? How does a Corona cushion, emergency fund, prevent overdraft fees? And last but not least, what do you think of the proposal limiting the penalty? Is it within the government's authority, or is that an individual bank decision of who and how they charge these fees to? That is story number one. Current event number two, story number two today is going to be a question. Did NBC provide you a subscription trick or treat? As the NFL playoffs kicked off and everyone tuned in to watch some football, there was a limitation on how you could see if Taylor Swift was actually at the Kansas City Chiefs game. NBC Universal announced that they would be streaming the AFC wildcard game between the Kansas City Chiefs and Miami Dolphins on their Peacock streaming service, a streaming service that many had not yet subscribed to. And NBC offered the 28 million who wanted to see this game only ways to watch it through local stations, NFL Plus, or the Peacock streaming service. Now, how do you get into Peacock? They offered free or monthly subscriptions, a free trial or monthly subscriptions. And this spurred an increase in subscriptions number in the millions and became the most popular streaming event in the United States history. The Chiefs-Dolphins game was the most streamed event in the United States. It remains to be seen whether this move by the NBC recovers the $110 million investment put in to hosting this game. And the truth is, what will happen is exactly what you are thinking. People will cancel their subscriptions after the free trial or after the first month. With the ability to be able to cancel your payment with one click, consumers today are much more likely to cut off the expense for a lack of use or a need to reduce your costs. So as you look at this decision, I maybe want to lower my expenses next month. Easy, I'll cancel a subscription. I'm not using it. Easy, I'll cancel my subscription. Yet, it remains to be seen whether the expensive bet, which according to NBC, again, that $110 million, will drive long-term engagement, or will it just create a brief spike in these free trials and 1 month cancellations? The PYMNT, the Payment Intelligence Report, One-Stop Bill Pay Playbook, recently reported that roughly 1 in 4 new subscribers, 1 in 4 to services like Netflix, Hulu, or Disney Plus, will cancel at least 3 of these subscriptions or have canceled at least 3 of these subscriptions in the past 2 years. This money vehicle habit of reviewing your past choices and canceling subscriptions you do not use is a good one and should be a monthly habit around our Automate, and around reviewing your past subscriptions. The debate now is around the marketing tactic. Offering free entrance and a low monthly payment, will people remember to actually cancel this concept that has been made famous by gyms who have seen and understood people don't cancel their payments? So the consumer tactic, now not so much as a marketing from NBC, but you as the consumer, is it a smart use and smart strategy to use the service for a purpose and then cancel it? What can or does go wrong when people do this? So are you offended that NBC is marketing a free product to you or a monthly low fee? Or are you as the consumer embarrassed or strategic or proud that you would say, I'm going to use it for the free trial and then I'm going to cancel it and move on? The marketing tactic here is the question, and the offer, well, that's up to you. Questions for your classroom. Would you start subscribing to a service for a single event, like an NFL playoff game? How much would you pay per month or for just a single event? Would you say, hey, I'll pay a $6 a month subscription for that event, or I'll pay up to $10 just to see that one item? Why do marketing tactics like this make money? Why is it banking on you not going back and canceling this, but you going and looking at this decision and saying financially, it no longer makes sense? How can the company eventually make money by you not selecting that decision? Question number 4. Do you think NBC made a good or bad investment? $110 million investment. Let's say they get 50 or 25 million to sign up for the month or the week. Do you think that was a good investment? And question number 5, when is your past choice review each month? We challenge ourselves every month, not every day, every month. Look at your past choices, your debts, your bills, your subscriptions, and start to identify each month, which are you not using? Which can you get rid of? That is how you start to use your money and drive your money vehicle. Story number 3 in our current event today. Did Bitcoin just become safer? I said safer. And let me start out by calling a few things. This is not investment advice. No, I do not promote Bitcoin or have any kind of affiliate marketing with Bitcoin. I do not own Bitcoin, nor am I telling you to own Bitcoin. This is simply a discussion around how the SEC is seeing Bitcoin into the future. As we know in Chapter 6, anything that has a possible return potential has risk. So yes, Bitcoin, as well as every investment, still has risk, and we need to be aware of that. Last time, this is not financial advice. The SEC approved an exchange-traded fund, ETF, for Bitcoin. Let's start with what an ETF is exactly. It is a fund, as stated in the name, that can be traded on an exchange. That is also stated in the name, exchange traded fund. What an ETF means is that a group of investments will be pooled together to increase the diversity and liquidity of the investment. Chapter 6, we learned that diversity can reduce short-term risk because all our eggs are not in one basket or a single company. We also discuss how liquidity is your ability to turn an investment into cash. Yes, an ETF is like a mutual fund. However, it is traded a little different and taxed a little different, but those are topics for another day. The SEC's approved 11 new spot Bitcoin ETFs, which has seen the market start bubbling. The market has increased in value because of what this statement and this approval means for the future of your investment. These new ETF products will allow investors to own Bitcoin without actually owning the individual coins themselves. The complexities are accessing this market, the non-liquidity of a clear transfer to cash, the lack of regulation are all being reduced with this SEC approval. Instead of owning an individual Bitcoin, you own the fund that holds Bitcoin, and your investment will rise or fall based on the price of Bitcoin. This grants you exposure to the crypto market, again, with a lot less friction. No more, where am I storing my password? Am I this and that? Is it a hard or is it a warm or is it a cold wallet? Looking at this, it removes that friction. Now, you may be wondering if these are the first crypto ETFs, and the answer is no. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, was the first to form a Bitcoin ETF, and the value of GBTC is now around $30 billion. These newer ETFs may push Bitcoin to be the largest market for commodities, surpassing gold. Right now, it is valued at second largest commodity market, and it could surpass gold with these new ETF products. Commodity is a raw material, but really a subject and a focus of investment for another day. GBTC has been rewarded for being the first to market this $29 billion market cap and have been able to charge a 2% fee to be in their fund. Now, with players like BlackRock and Fidelity entering the market, fees will be driven down to 3 basis points, or as you look at it, 0.3% charged as a fee. Taxes will play into the decision, though. As you look at GBTC investors, they look at the last year they have been holding this fund and have seen a 300% increase in value. So you have to be able to choose, do I want to chase a smaller fee while realizing the taxes of today? This is a good problem to have, but you would have to pay taxes to exchange and trade out of this fund, GBTC, for a smaller feed fund from maybe Fidelity or BlackRock. All in all, this is a massive moment in the crypto market, a sort of vote of confidence from our federal government, and yes, a way to reduce the risk of investment by providing an easier access and more regulation. Cryptocurrencies in the market has been and remains very unregulated. But this may be the first step in that regulation process and making it a more safe marketplace for you to begin your investments. Now, questions for your classroom. Have you thought about buying Bitcoin? Hard stop question there. Have you considered it? Why would you consider it? Why would or would you not want to invest into Bitcoin? Why do people believe crypto has such a high return potential in the future? And what does that high return potential mean for its risk profile? Do you think this new SEC approval and regulation makes Bitcoin safer? Question number 5. Can you explain how capital gains will impact the decision to sell GBTC and chase smaller fees? And last but not least, an extra credit research question. What is a commodity? What are basis points? Or how does an ETF trade differently than a mutual fund? You can look those up on your own, bring them to class, and create the conversation, making it cool to speak the language of money. Our core curriculum focus today comes from Income Part 4, Earn versus Create Income. Do you believe the average American has a higher income today than ever before? It is true. People are making more money, and with the subject of inflation and other factors, we can debate if this means their lifestyle has been improved or if it's just more dollars that are going out the door. One of the biggest reasons people make more today is because they see a difference between money we earn and money we create. Money Vehicle defines earned income as money you went to work for, and created income as money that went to work for you. People today have changed their mindset to just going to work for money and starting to practice the Money Vehicle mindset of treating your money like an employee and making it go to work for you. Wait a minute, Jed. Are you saying all I need to do is make money work for me and I'm good to go? Well, no. First, we need to work on your primary earned income. This is the lifeline to your entire financial plan. Your goal in the future and your financial freedom comes when your plan is no longer dependent on this earned income, but for now it is the best asset you will have. To create other assets, you will use your primary earned income to create them. When looking at that primary earned income, you will typically be paid on an hourly wage or an annual salary. Today, we are not focusing on the difference between wage and salary, but with a wage worker, you typically have more autonomy over when you work and the restriction of you will not be paid unless you are clocking hours. With a salary worker, you have more ability to create a plan because you have consistency in your earnings, but you also not have as much leeway around when you are working. Our focus today will be around the response many of us have in the basis of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is the response today to, if I'm great at my primary job, do I need a secondary income source? In today's world, a single source of income, even a strong primary income, is not enough. Corporations make layoffs to increase profits. Life throws a curveball that requires you to move. And sometimes there are just people who seem to have it out for you standing in your way. Today, your plan must be built with multiple streams of income to have any kind of control over it. Even if the secondary one starts small, it is better to have multiple streams of income. This will give your plan diversity of income and give you choices as you start to manage out your cash through your money bucket system. We have addressed the keys as our income in your money vehicle, and everyone knows it is always good to have a spare set of keys. How you create this new set of income will be your decision. You can own a business, own a property, own a loan, or own your talents. Let's start by looking at how you can own a business through 3 ways to create another income source through a business. The first is going to be earn it. Your company will not pay you as much in income, but instead will pay in shares of company stock. Stock options can be rewarding, especially if you feel like the company you work for and believe in the company you work for's success. But this is still focused on one source. Even though it is another stream, it is a singular source of income. The second way to own a business is going to be to invest in it. You can take some of your future choice and purchase ownership of a company through stock. And this is a subject we're going to dive deeper into in Chapter 6. The third and final way to create a secondary source of income through business is by starting one. Becoming an entrepreneur. Quick clarification between self-employed and an entrepreneur. Self-employed is a great primary earned income, but this income is dependent on you being at work each day for an income and is not treated as a secondary created source of income. An entrepreneur, on the other hand, builds something that can create money even when they are not there. Both are good. But for a secondary income source, you will need to start something that can earn money without your time. We will dive deeper into becoming an entrepreneur in future episodes. But I will say today, it is, as an entrepreneur, the hardest thing you will do to create or earn money. To go down the path of being an entrepreneur, you should really ask yourself why you want to go start your own thing and why your thing is going to win. Because the world is made up of people who are going to tell you and prove that you are wrong. You are going to have to be very convicted in why you want to start a business and why you will win. Option number 2 in creating a new income source is going to be owning property. 2 ways to do this: rent it or sell it. Now, you own a home, your primary residence is not a way to create money because A, owning a home is going to cost you more money each year, and B, you will always need a place to live. And this is one that gets really lost and misunderstood. You will always have a home. So if you were saying, well, the equity in my home is going to be my plan, well, where are you going to live when you cash out that equity? I even hesitate to call real estate a passive investment because it usually takes up some of your time. Real estate can be a hands-off at times, but will require somebody to find the property, get the property ready, and then find a buyer for the property. But as you look at the 2 ways to create income sources from this, the first one is going to be renting out the property. So you own rental properties, and this can be a great secondary source of income. If you can find someone to pay a rent that covers your expenses, including a mortgage payment, then you begin to be paid to own the property. And as it increases in value, so does your investment. You could sell it or flip rent properties. Not wanting to deal with renters and be a landlord, some people prefer to flip homes or find a house, add some value to it, and then find a new buyer for it very quickly. Flipping is less desirable if you have a high income because you will be paid ordinary income taxes on the sale. This is why I don't recommend NFL players become house flippers, but rental properties are a good investment for different tax reasons. However, if you are looking for a lump sum return and you know a market, this flipping can be a great side hustle and advantage to you because you understand your territory and market. Buy 2 books and focus on one area of homes. I bought 2 books. I'm going to increase my education. I focused on one neighborhood of where I want to start living or in investing. And that is where my education begins. In a year, I will be ready to buy my first place. Get familiar with the terms and the pricing before you dive in. But once you do get ready, nothing better than to start going. As we look at a way to create another source of income through debt, through loans, as we will see in Chapter 2, the time value of money can work for or can work against you. If someone borrows your money, they will pay you interest to use your dollars. The catch is you will need money to begin to lend money out to start. However, today, peer-to-peer lending, also known as crowd or social lending, has seen a huge increase as people are looking to cut out the middleman, financial institutions. If you can get a better return on your cash without using a bank and lending it to a peer, well, that's just an opportunity some will go and find. Chapter 6 will show us, though, that the higher the reward, the higher the risk. And these peer-to-peer loans do have a higher default than the traditional loan. Now, let's talk about ways to create a secondary income through owning your talents, the real focus and subject of today for you as a young professional and student. Your skills. Sure, you can think of an athlete or an entertainer here that has a unique skill somebody will pay to come see, but start smaller. Is there something you can do that people find value in? If you can entertain or solve a problem, then you have something of value. Way number 2, your ideas. Intellectual property is the protection of your ideas. When you have a unique idea that could be the next great idea or even good one, but do not want to start and running a business, you sell this idea to someone who you think can turn an idea into a reality, the entrepreneur. The person that is going to take your idea is going to pay you for the value of the idea, and then they are going to go and create the business. Way number 3, you can do this through your skills, is through your brand. NIL, name, image, and likeness, has received a lot of attention through college sports today. I worked with the LSU athletic department, specifically their women's basketball team had 4 millionaires on it. The LSU women's basketball team had 4 millionaires. I don't even think a WNBA team can claim that. These former student athletes have become professional athletes by benefiting from who they are. I'm sure you are saying, yeah, but I am not the quarterback at Georgia. And here you must remember, no one started as the quarterback of Georgia. No followers is a perfect time to figure out what you want to represent and what your brand is going to be. If you can stop thinking a mile wide and an inch deep and start thinking an inch wide and a mile deep, you will find a niche. Let me repeat that. Stop thinking a mile wide about a lot of things and an inch deep, just the surface, and start thinking about an inch wide, one subject, and going a mile deep, becoming an expert in. This niche will provide you with an audience that is interested in the same thing you are. Now, all of you have to do is go become more expert in that one thing. Take me in Money Vehicle. Years ago, I started to associate financial literacy with my name and my brand. And today, people send me articles every week where they see financial literacy and think, that's Jed's thing. It will take a lifetime to build your reputation, but be warned, it can all be taken away in a moment of misjudgment. Now, way number 4, you can use your skills, your time. The real format for high school students to start a secondary income is through your time, because it is what you have the biggest advantage in over the average worker today. Wait a minute. If this is taking our time, isn't it a primary income source? Well, yes, this is true. We are talking about things you can do outside your primary job as a student and ways you can create income streams outside that traditional job. So as you look at it, your first primary job is being a student. We're looking at side hustles, secondary jobs, and things you can do in your spare time. One of the biggest ones here is going to be introducing the e-commerce space and the word arbitrage. E-commerce is simply buying and selling things online and is a daily occurrence for you as well as an opportunity. You can make things yourself or find good deals in one place of the internet and sell that same deal in a different place of the internet for more money. This is called arbitrage, and it is done in the stock and bond market as well as the shoe and concert market and even the crypto market. Anything you can purchase and find a buyer who would purchase it for more can be profitable. So if I can go to one site and find something for $10 and go and turn and sell it to another site for $20, that is arbitrage. I have seen a value in between two marketplaces. Another source is going to be the gig economy or short-term contract world. Companies like Upwork and Fiverr host thousands of people creating income streams each day. And then companies like Uber and Airbnb have made fortunes on providing marketplaces for these types of thinkers and workers. Can you walk a dog, drive a car, get groceries, take photos, teach something, edit something, translate something, fix things, move things, take surveys, or enter data? All of these have a place for someone to pay you to do that. Go ahead and start to research. How can I get paid to take surveys? How can I get paid to play video games or try out new products? The goal in the income part 4 section of this curriculum is to start the process of seeing money differently. No longer are you going to just go to work for money. You are going to challenge and start to have money work for you. Today, as a student, you have lots of advantage over people with full-time jobs, both from a time and creativity perspective. If you did find one area of creating an income source you liked, create your own. If you did not find a source you liked, create your own. Just know, getting one good job and relying on that company to give you financial freedom is not the plan of today. You will need to keep your primary income, that first earned one, but you will also need to create secondary income streams on your road to financial freedom. Questions for your classroom. How do you see the difference between a wage and salary worker? Question number 2. What types of secondary incomes have you seen created by people around you? Question number 3. How could you participate in the gig economy, short-term contracts? Question number 4. If you were going to create an arbitrage, a product in e-commerce, which product do you think you could find a market for? Question number 5. Would you feel comfortable participating in peer-to-peer lending? Last but not least, question number 6. What is the best side hustle you can find and research on social media today? Simply search for Side Hustles of 2024. We'll see you after you're creating multiple income sources. Did Bitcoin just become safer? Welcome into the Money Vehicle Movement podcast, where we are making it cool to speak the language of money. This week saw the stock market rise on the anticipation meaning it has not happened yet, but the expectation that the Fed will lower interest rates. We have seen inflation begin to cool here in the United States, while at the same time, China is currently experiencing deflation where it seems good that prices are falling in the short term, but this is not a good sign of the economy for a long-term perspective and investor. In America, the excitement that inflation seems to have peaked for the moment and money will begin to be quote unquote cheaper when offered by the Fed is going to see a good rise in borrowing. The Fed charging less to borrow is a good sign that they expect a boom for companies to grow in 2024. Anytime money is less expensive, they can grow, and that will increase, hopefully, the markets. Where we look at today, we're going to discuss 3 topics, current events. Story number 1, how the Biden administration is taking on big banks to change rule number 1 of your checking accounts. Story number 2, did NBC provide a subscription trick or treat as they offered the NFL playoffs? And story number 3, in answer to that opener, did Bitcoin become safer overnight? Our core curriculum focus is going to be income part 4, earn versus create. But as we dive in, let's get to current event number 1. The Biden administration is addressing one of the most damaging mistakes people make with their money: overdraft fees. The original thought around overdraft fees was a service for customers. Back when everyone was mailing paper checks around, it was inevitable that it back w- water time. Back when every Back when everyone was mailing paper checks around, it was inevitable that a check didn't get deposited in time. And instead of bouncing the check, banks decided to provide a service of overdrafting and provide the funds for a fee, a much smaller fee back then than it is today. Today, with the use of debit cards passing money electronically in seconds, the extraordinary fee does not reflect the penalty that it is causing. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, estimates that over $280 billion have been collected in overdraft fees over the past 2 decades. $280 billion. According to the Washington Post, these fees became so popular that one bank CEO named his boat the overdraft. The impact of these fees reflects why Money Vehicle calls out the number 1 rule of our checking account in Chapter 4 as never going below 0. Understand that there are many cases where a person must overdraft simply to get by, and in these, we hope financial education can prevent future instances, while we understand that it will not solve the problem of today. Yes, there are situations where people truly do not have enough to make ends meet. But there are also many who simply do not understand the operation or penalty of what is happening. I will admit to a time back in college where I simply was unaware of my balance and was charged this fee twice, overdrafting on a Tuesday, letting it ride through Wednesday and not realizing it until Thursday, and seeing that fee charged twice again and again. Money Vehicle believes many would avoid this fee altogether if they were empowered with a financial plan. Having the knowledge around one's own foundational accounts and setting up a Corona cushion, we call the emergency fund, would eliminate a lot of these fees. The American Bankers Association, the ABA, is fighting back on this proposal of the Biden administration in the name of capitalism, stating that this is nothing more than a move to score political points and that these changes would make it harder for the bank to offer this service. He apparently has never got a ride on overdraft out to sea. Truth is, there has been a large shift within banks to offer accounts without an overdraft or to internally lower their fees prior to this proposal. The new Biden proposal would change this fee from upwards of $35 an instance all the way down to capping it at $3 per overdraft. Questions for your classroom. Number 1, why do you think so many people fall into needing this service? Question number 2, how would you advise a fellow student to avoid this overdraft fee? Question number 3, how does a Corona cushion, emergency fund, prevent overdraft fees? Question number 4, What do you think of the proposal limiting the penalty relating to politics, and is this something that the government should participate in? Story number 2 today is going to be a proposal by NBC. Did NBC provide a subscription trick or treat? As the NFL playoffs kicked off and everyone tuned in to watching some football, there was a limit on how you could see if Taylor Swift was going to be at that Kansas City Chiefs game. NBC Universal announced that they would be streaming the AFC wildcard game between the Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins on Peacock, their streaming service. This streaming service had not had the millions subscribed to it just yet. So NBC offered the 28 million viewers who wanted to see this NFL playoff game that you could watch it on local stations, NFL Plus, or Peacock through a free trial or a short-term monthly subscription. This spurred an increase in millions in their subscription and became the most popular streaming event in United States history. The Chiefs-Dolphins game was the most popular streaming event in United States history. Now, it remains to be seen whether this move by NBC recovering their $110 million investment it put into hosting the playoff game. $110 million to host, millions of subscribers, but the question is, do they stick? The truth is, what will happen is exactly what you are all thinking. People will cancel their subscriptions. With the ability to cancel your payment with one click, consumers today are much more likely to cut off the expense for a lack of use or a need to reduce their monthly costs. Yet it remains to be seen whether this expensive bet, which according to NBC again is $110 million, will drive long-term engagement, or will just create a brief spike in free trials and 1 month subscriptions and then cancel. The PYMNT, Payment Intelligence Report One Stop Bill Playbook, recently reported that roughly 1 in 4 new subscribers to services like Netflix, Hulu, or Disney Plus cancel at least 3 subscriptions over the last year. This money vehicle habit of reviewing your past choices and canceling subscriptions you do not use is a good one to start to do. The debate now is around the marketing tactic. Offering a free entrance and a low monthly subscription that people will soon cancel, is that a good trick or a good tactic? Playing into the gym membership concept and idea if people do not cancel and just get them to sign up? And then the consumer tactic. Is it smart and a good strategy for you to use a free service and then cancel it when you're done? Or just sign up for the month and then cancel? How can that go wrong? Leads us to our questions for your classroom. Question number 1. Would you start subscribing to a service for a single event? Question number 2. How much would you pay per month for just a single event, or how much would you pay for just that event? Question number 3. Why do marketing tactics like this make money? I paid $100 million to host a game to get people to sign up. How is it that my investment will make money? And question number 4. Do you think the NBC made a good or bad investment? Last but not least, question number 5. When is your past choice review each month?